Hello and welcome back to All Things Trentside. Hello guys, I hope you're all well and staying safe as usual. But yeah, back with another video. So of course you would have seen, I think it was yesterday I uploaded the review for the Preston game. It was a late upload, I apologise, but you can appreciate it's hectic, and I know I probably say this at the start of every video now that it will be something I'll be looking to change moving on in the future, but I know it is hard trying to keep up with all the videos, of course, with Forest playing and then they're playing again, so it's a review, preview, review, etc. But that's the way it goes at the moment. It's the way we decided to do this channel. But here we are for another match preview today, and this is probably going to be my preview for Forest, probably biggest game of the season so far. I mean, I'd probably say that about every game coming up for Forest at the moment, especially going forward, but Forest take on Swansea City. So if you listen to this, I would have uploaded it around lunchtime on the Wednesday. So if you're listening to this now, then Forest will be kicking off in just under 6 hours against Swansea, and a win for Forest will confirm their place in the Championship playoffs. So yeah, big game for Forest. This finally can get over the line going forward, and no ifs and buts. It will be Forest playoff position confirmed. It'll just be then a matter of when where Forest will finish, and not when. It will be will we finish third, fourth, or fifth, or even sixth. But yeah, it's crazy to think. We've got to this stage. I think everyone playing each other around, in and around each other in the Championship. Now Derby played Cardiff tonight. We'll obviously be happy with the Cardiff result there. So really effectively ends Derby's playoff push as well. But Derby have had a few run of fixtures. Forest have rarely, but everyone's been playing teams that are in and around each other. That's what we love about the Championship. So it has come down to it, and it has come to Forest now needing a victory, one more victory to secure playoff football this season. Obviously, we don't know who we will be playing. It'll probably be one of either Fulham or Brentford. But yeah, it's actually say Fulham or Brentford, or even West Brom due to their draw today. But that's a story for another day. But yeah, Forest host Swansea. I did mention it in the review for the Preston game. I don't want to say review like that. Review for the Preston game. If Forest had have got a win at Deepdale, and what happened with the Swansea game when they lost late on to Leeds, Forest would have only needed the point. I think it would have been probably more or less confirmed, but it's still mathematically possible that Forest could drop out of the playoffs, but only Millwall, Swansea and Preston can catch Forest now. But of course, we have played a game less than Millwall and Preston, so a win will take the further away from them, and of course we play Swansea tomorrow as well, which will extend the gap. But obviously on the bright side as well is Derby won't be able to finish above us, I think for the first time for a few seasons now, the last time being the 12-13 season when Billy come back for his second spell in charge. That was the last time Forest finished above Derby, so it just shows what a great job that Sabri has done just in that aspect. I think as well people would say that Forest really stopped Derby's assault on the top six. Really, it looked like for a while that they were going to be the team that there's always one team that sneaks in towards the back end of the season. I think either for the automatics or the playoffs in the Championships. Obviously this season it looks like Brentford are going to maybe push it close for the top two rather than the top six. So I'm running in for the top six late on. But no, Derby probably won't be there either. They sit 6 points behind Cardiff now with 2 games to go. So it's like no playoff football, it's Championship football again for Derby. But yeah, well, we digress as we always do on this channel. We're moving on to the game now. So yeah, Forest host Swansea, and it was rearranged due to it meant to play today on the Tuesday, but of course with Swansea playing Leeds on the Sunday, it's been moved now. It won't be on television for all you wondering if it will be. Sky's opted not to put it on TV, but they would have if they knew what was at stake now. So Forest welcome Swansea for a place really in the Championship playoffs. Really, big game for Forest this, especially with the other 2 games coming up. We'll get onto that more in a second, but this is going to be my match preview for the game, and yeah, let's get into it. So as always, we'll talk about the team news. Forest really only have 2 main injury concerns for the game, with Joe Lolly and Matty Cash still have slight knocks, and obviously they missed a game at Deepdale, so maybe Matty Cash, I'm reading that he might not have shaken off his knock, so Carl Jenkinson still might deputise at right back. But if Carl Jenkinson displays the ability he did in the second half against Preston, you read it on the timeline, he had a really good second half. Cash will be a big miss, of course, but if Jenkins has to deputise, we've got Derico coming back as well, so one of them two will play. Probably more than likely will be Jenkinson. Obviously, Derico's come back from a long-term injury. We hope Cash is fit, but if he has got a knock, we don't want to risk it in case we do confirm the playoffs. Another thing with Lolly as well, that's another thing. We don't want him to pick up any more serious injuries. He's a really key player for us going forward. So, and since lockdown's finished, I can't get my words out. Since lockdown ended for football and we was allowed to have it back, he's been integral to us moving forward. So would see Nuno da Costa probably be pushed back to the bench if Lolly is fit, which is a shame. I think he played really well. I think Amiobi is preferred for Lolly, and Amiobi are Sabri's preferred wingers, which I've always said I think Amiobi can change the game when he comes on. The last 20 minutes, tired legs, he's got the pace and skill. I think da Costa as well is very harsh. I think it was harsh that he was dropped for the Fulham game after playing so well against Derby. So I don't know if that's because if anything was to happen to Grabban, da Costa could come on. Again, it is fresh legs as well, but not to see what happens in that aspect. Thiago Silva could come back into the fray as well ahead of Ryan Yates. Depends what team Sabri sets up. We know Swansea are a team that likes to have the ball. I do know that. I know, as I mentioned in my Preston review, that I said that Alex Neil team does like to have the ball sometimes. I don't know if I was. I don't really watch Preston, but I know Steve Cooper does set up his team that way, and they do play some good slick football. But so it looks like we might go for the three defensive mids again. I'm not too sure. If not, you probably will see Thiago Silva joining the attack again as he normally does in his central attacking midfield role. And also, the main probably question as well is the centre half. Figueiredo was dropped for the game against Preston at the weekend. Dawson come in. And Michael Dawson probably first start, I think it was since the Stoke game. He's not really featured much, obviously been injured and a bit part player. Is he now going to lead Forest now towards the end of the season into the playoffs? That'll be an interesting one to see, because of course does sign a new contract extension, so I know Sabri does like him, but is he just to have around the dressing room, or does he now know that his experience is going to lead Forest forward, so they're not conceding late goals as we have been in recent weeks? So that's probably the Forest team news, probably the main bits really in that one. Now, as we move on to Swansea, they do have a few injury concerns, especially to a few of their key players. Freddie Woodman could be a doubt, their goalkeeper on loan from Newcastle. Probably have to prove his fitness late after he suffered a hip problem at the weekend. He had to be subbed off in that game against Leeds as well. So, been Swansea's number one goalkeeper this season since arriving on loan from Newcastle. So, we're going to have to see whether or not he'll be fit or not. It'll be a big boost for Forest if he's not. 'Cause obviously, when sub-keepers come in, you're not really too sure how they're going to do, because they're not as razor sharp as players are. See, for example, if Forest can make 5 subs, well, we're never going to sub Samba off to let Jordan Smith have a game, are we? So, and probably until anything's confirmed, if we did then either. But, when we can make all these subs, the goalkeeper's never subbed on, so be interesting to see how normally Erwin Mulder, I think, is Swansea's backup keeper. So if Woodman's not fit, can test him early on and maybe put him a bit under pressure, because he's not played a lot for Swansea this season. Centre half Mike van der Hoon could be returning as well. He missed out for an injury against Leeds. So big, strong centre half, physical. I think battle between him and Grabban would be intriguing, but there's a few centre half Swansea have got, but I think he's just got that experience. He played in the Premier League for them as well. I think he was their captain this season for Swansea for a bit, or he is the captain, or I don't know if Connor Roberts is now, but anyway, he could be also in contention. So that's the team news. Not many, a few key players missing from each team actually. So if they're missing, you've got to hope their replacements step up, especially for Forest. Carl Jenkinson's had his critics. And if Cash isn't fit for a while, well, hopefully it's not for a while, but for the next few games, Carl Jenkinson could maybe put himself about if we don't go off and we lose cash, just say, look, I can be that number one right back next season, or if we ever decide to move Matty Cash further upfield, we'll wait and see on that one. And yeah, let's go on to the form guide now. So we all know Forest form, looking to get back to winning ways after failing to win in the last 3 games. 2 draws and a defeat in that time. And we won't talk about the manner in which we've lost these games or drew them. We all know. But yeah, we're looking to avoid losing 4 games on the spin, or not winning in 4 games for the first time since the November-December period where we lost and drew in that game. We didn't win for 5 games. Everyone knows Forest slump in December. That included a 4-0 defeat to Sheffield Wednesday, dropping points late to Millwall, which we've spoken about on this channel quite a lot. That's what cost Forest. But there's probably only one shining light on Forest season, and if we avoid defeat against Swansea, we wouldn't have lost back-to-back home games all season, which is always a positive. So if we do lose in front of our home fans, we do react, say our home fans at the time, but obviously now it's in front of no one. So we do react positively when we do lose at the City ground. So it'd be not nice just to have that little record, because sometimes we can be awful at home. Well, this season especially. So it is nice to get back to old ways. I remember the Billy Davies season where we didn't lose at home for a year. So maybe we're not quite that level, but just to make the City ground a bit of a fortress again. It's like, okay, if Forest do lose this game, that are going to be even harder to beat the next at home. But as for Swansea, they find themselves on the cusp of the playoffs. With defeat to Leeds and Cardiff's win today, to see them 4 points behind their arch rivals, which is something you didn't want. That's what I didn't want it to be overtaken by Derby, but Swansea will be desperate to have that over their rivals. Oh, you dropped out the playoffs, and we dropped you out the playoffs. It's not a nice feeling to have. Because obviously, all Derby fans have on us now is when, if we are to lose the playoffs or don't get into the playoffs, that's all they have on us this season. It's not like, we overtook you and you're not in the playoffs and we are. So Swansea will be desperate to get that over their rivals. Especially in the 2 games against Cardiff this season. Cardiff haven't even scored and got a win against them. So they'll just be desperate just to add that rub the extra salt into the wounds. Swansea haven't lost back-to-back games since the winter period. They lost to Fulham and West Brom in that time, but since then they haven't lost back-to-back games. They'd lose to Leeds on Sunday, so they'd be avoiding back-to-back defeats, and probably you'd think if they were to lose here today, would end their playoff hopes. 4 games to go with 4 points adrift with 2 games to go would probably be a big ask. And also, we're saying Forest trying to get back-to-back defeats at the City ground, not trying to avoid back-to-back defeats. I don't know what is wrong with me at them tonight. They're trying to avoid back-to-back defeats to the City ground. Swansea looking to get back-to-back away wins for the first time since August. So there's a lot of stake here, especially for Forest, trying to get a win, avoid losing back-to-back games for the first time this season at home. Trying to stop Swansea, but Swansea have got a lot to play for, trying to catch up with their rivals, keep their playoff hopes alive, and win back-to-back away games for the first time since August. So it's set up nicely. But in the previous meetings, Forest did get the better of Swansea when we visited South Wales this season in September, when Alpha Semedo's late strike gave us all 3 points. As a result, they ended Swansea's unbeaten start to the season as well. I think they started the season very well. But the dark horse, because Steve Cooper had just come in after Graham Potter had moved on to his post at Brighton after he'd done a decent job. He'd steadied the ship at Swansea and just not long come down from the Premiership, so he was looking to move them forward. But now we see Cooper come in. He was a bit of an unknown quantity. I think he'd managed one of the England U teams. I don't know if it was the under-17s or under-18s, but he started the season well for Swansea, and then we went and did them 1-0 there, which was good, especially Forest were at the time and another unknown quantity, of a manager that no one knew of. They was expecting to be gone by December, but we started the season well. I think we'd only lost to West Brom, and we'd gone to Fulham and won there, and went to Swansea, didn't really create much, and as usual, get a counter-attack goal, and Semedo scored. So yeah, it's good as well. Normally I've been talking in these fixtures, we've not had the best run of form, so I think it was the Huddersfield, we'd lost the reverse fixture. Sheffield Wednesday, we'd lost the reverse fixture. Bristol City, we drew. etc. So it's nice to have a bit say that we actually did okay against this team earlier on in the season. But we actually don't have a too bad a record against Swansea. So we've won 5 in the last 10 games against them, drawing 3 and losing 2, which not a bad 2 record. And we're looking to finally, looking to win 3 games against them since the 09-10 and 10-11 season, where I think we did the double over them in that season. I think McGoldrick scored. So I'll tell you how long ago that was, and Luke Chambers scored, I think, a 90th minute winner. I think it was in the March time in the 09-10 season, just kept our slim hopes of automatic promotion alive. And then we beat them 3-1 at the City Ground the next season, when we had the season where Lewis McGugan was on fire. But yeah, we haven't won 3 games against them since that. Swansea don't have the best record at City Ground as well. They haven't won there since 2006, when Lee Trundle scored the winner. And again, I don't think many Swansea fans would be listening to this, but even Forest fans, I'm pretty sure how long ago it was when Lee Trundle was still playing. But yeah, there's always been a little rivalry between Forest and Swansea when it comes to crunch matches, you know. As we've seen, they've got the better of us in the last 2 probably big scenarios when the teams have crossed paths. So in League One days, they always used to beat us, and they beat us to the league title in the 07-08 season when we finished second. And more recently, the playoffs in 2011 when they eventually won it. The less said about that, the better. I think that hurt more than the Blackpool game, you know. I think we hit the post so many times. In the first leg, they went down to 10 men after, you know, was it 59 seconds inside a minute or something like that. And how we lost that still to this day, I don't know. And I think I've mentioned it before in this podcast, why Rob Earnshaw sat on that bench in that second leg and was criminal. And that's probably what cost us. But yeah, we all know what happened. Darren Pratley's goal, but we'll move on from that. Last season, though, Forest did get another win over Swansea. This is where I say we're looking for 3 wins in a row for the first time since the turn of the new decade. Then goals from Daryl Murphy and Mola Wagga gave Forest the 2-1 victory. Kept a low our slim chances of finishing the playoffs. We know what happened there. But yeah, so Forest normally do okay against Swansea, and hopefully that's another, you know, omen going forward. But yeah, the key player as always, you know, we're going to look at that now. Andre Ayew, for me, Swansea's key player going forward, can play out on the wing or operate as their main striker. He has 16 goals and 6 assists this season. Very surprising that he's still there. You know, he spent last season on loan at Fenerbahce after, you know, playing in the Premier League with Swansea and West Ham respectively. So it was a surprise that he stayed, but no, he's done okay this season. You know, he's knuckled down and not sulked. And as you see with some players who don't get their move away from the Championship, who are on the big wages, you know, he's done well for Swansea this season to be their danger man. Shout out also goes to Ryan Brewster and Bertrand Selina, both of players for Swansea who have been great. You know, Selina from Manchester City was a great attacking mid when they paid the money for him, and Ryan Brewster joined in January. But you know, he's got 8 goals already this season, which is a pretty decent return for, you know, someone who's only joined halfway through the season. But I think Swansea have got a few other dangerous players as well. I think, you know, say Connor Roberts, the wing back, is another good player. Wayne Routledge has that experience as well. So it's going to be a tough test for Forest, as we already knew anyway. But it is really going to be tough for Forest going forward. And as always, I think, you know, this is probably the place that people skip to on the video is Ref Watch. So just a little really stats reel the referee does on the games. But the referee for this game is Oliver Langford. He's refereed games for Forest this season. It's been a mixed bag. He refereed the 1-1 draw to Charlton at the start of the season, then the 2-1 loss to Hull, and the 2-0 win over Leeds, the most recent one, which, you know, we did like that victory over Leeds. He did a good job, I think, as well in that game. He did send Josh McGuinness off though in the 2-1 loss to Hull, which, I mean, I think it was a red card, but he's not afraid to make them big decisions if a challenge does go in, and he thinks so that a player does need sending off. So it's good to see. Hopefully he does have a good game. We've seen with a few referees recently. I think I talked about Rob Jones, the Sheffield Wednesday and Fulham ref. He did alright for Forest earlier on in the season when reffing, but against Fulham he was awful. He did take charge of one game for Swansea this season. That was the loss to Stoke. I can't remember when that was, but he's only took charge of Swansea one time this season. Bloody, I can't get my words out. But yeah, that's really all the news I can really tell you about this. So it's a big game for Forest, as we all know, and it's one of them we just hope that they just do not do what Forest normally do and make it difficult for themselves. We've seen it on countless occasions, especially this season, when we've looked like we're going to turn a corner. The Leeds game, and then we lost to Charlton. The Derby game we played excellent, and then was pegged back. The Sheffield Wednesday game, conceding late on, then losing to Fulham, getting pegged back at Preston. I remember a few years ago when we nearly went down with Blackburn. We played them, and a win would have seen us 12 points ahead of Blackburn with 4 games to go. But instead we got pegged back and it went down to the final day. So I hope we don't make it difficult for ourselves. And also, as I say, with all these injuries, with a few injuries we've got them to our key players, the closer we get the job done, the more we can rest them. So of course, if Cash and Lolly aren't 100% fit, or they are just getting to peak fitness, we can just make sure that they play a part in this game, secure that playoff spot, and then just say, right, you two sit out for the next 2 games, we'll give you a rest, get back to full fitness, ready for the playoffs. But of course, it is going to be a difficult task. Swansea are going really well at the moment. That defeat from Leeds did set them back, but they're desperate to close that gap to their arch rivals Cardiff, because of course, if Forest do win them tomorrow, you think the playoff hopes would be over with 2 games to go and a 4 points adrift. But you never know. We're going to be an attacking game for Swansea. I think Forest are going to be pending quite a lot, and we're going to have to play quite counter-attacking, as we've seen for the goal earlier against Swansea this season. But we can hold our own. We just need to make sure we do create a lot. I hope Sabri doesn't go for the 3 defensive mids, because we just don't look like we're going to create anything. Grabban just looks isolated. Like, the only reason he got his 20th goal of the season was because we got a penalty. A very needless challenge from Ben Pearson, it has to be said, going forward. But if we didn't get that, I don't think we'd have created a lot going forward. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Hopefully this time tomorrow, when I next all speak to you, and for the review of the game. Why do I say review? Review of the game. We're going to be celebrating Forest being in the playoffs. And I hope I'm not sitting here saying, "No, okay, it's typical Forest. We never make it easy for ourselves." Because we're going to teams who are still in a dogfight, going to Barnsley and Stoke. Playing Stoke at home, but teams who need to pick up points, especially Barnsley. So it'd be categorically nightmare for Forest if they were to lose tomorrow and then lose on Sunday against Barnsley. It would really put the cat amongst the pigeons. But I hope that's not the case, and I hope we do kick on and get the job done finally, and does not do what our Forest side normally does and lets us down, because it's been a terrific season no matter what. But just to get the playoffs done now, give a few key players a rest, and let a few fringe players come through. We all take the mick out of Diakabi, but just let him come on and have 2 games to show that he could offer us something if we did need something in the playoffs, and just let him play get a bit of confidence back in his system. Da Costa hasn't scored yet. He's done fantastic there, and maybe let him lead the line if we were to secure the playoff spot tomorrow. So let him lead the line the next 2 games and let him get a goal and add even more confidence to his game. Tyler Walker as well, showing that if we need him to come off the bench. But it's going to be interesting going forward. I say that I think this is Forest's biggest game of the season so far. Like I say, if we don't win this game tomorrow, and then we have to secure this playoff spot against Barnsley, then that'll be our biggest game of the season, and so on until we get to the playoffs, or if we do. But you feel like we're in touching distance. We've got 1 foot there. We just got to make sure that we know we don't do a Forest and go 1 step forward, 2 steps back. But yeah, guys, hopefully you'll all be watching the game with a keen eye on it. I know I certainly will, making notes ready for the review. I'll say it boldly, because I keep saying it wrong, but hopefully you'll be keeping an eye out for the game. I'm looking at the time. I know I've got 24 minutes out of this, but I hope you've all enjoyed it, guys, and hopefully next time I speak to you, we will be a team that is going to be competing in the Championship playoffs this season. But you just never know with Forest going forward. But stay safe, guys. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Hopefully we will be celebrating come 8 o'clock tomorrow. And that will be the fact that Forest are a Championship playoff semi-finalists for the first time since the 10-11 season, when we actually did lose to the team we're playing tomorrow. So hopefully we can get a little bit of revenge on that. But yeah, guys, I hope you've enjoyed it. Say like, comment, subscribe as usual. Let your friends know about it and follow us on social media. But yeah, stay safe, guys. I'll speak to you all soon. And as always, come on, you Reds.